Yeah, people are confused with the two. I always explain it like the allergy is just your immune system overreacting, and an intolerance is just a breakdown problem. So it makes it really simple. But yeah, I understand that people are confused sometimes with the two.
Hey, hello, Anouk, and welcome to the show today. I'm so excited to chat with you about all things food intolerances because it's such a common occurrence, but also something that I know my clients are always interested in. And the focus is always about what foods may be contributing to different symptoms and in IBS and other GI conditions. So I'm super excited to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you. So excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, just to get started, why don't you tell us and tell our listeners a bit more about yourself and really the work that you do at Intoleran?
Yeah, so my name is Anouk Martini, and I'm a registered dietitian here in the Netherlands. So not Canada. I work with Intoleran, a company that develops supplements to support gut health and food intolerances.
Mhm.
So we're based in the Netherlands, but we're not only available in Europe, but also in many other countries worldwide, including Canada, the United States, and Australia. So I've been with Intolerant for over 5 years now. But the company itself has been around since 2008. And a little backstory. It all started when our founder, who struggled with lactose intolerance himself, began creating supplements to help both himself and others to enjoy food without the discomfort. So, yeah, fast forward to today, and our mission remains the same, just helping people enjoy food again, despite intolerances or other gut related challenges. So now, today we offer a wide range of very specific digestive enzyme supplements, ranging from lactose and fructose intolerance to broader FODMAP sensitivities, as well as sucrose and starch for those who with sucrose isomaltase deficiency. We'll come to that later on more, I guess. And beyond enzymes, we'll also have some supplements for histamine intolerance, which is such a big topic that it could fill an entire episode on its own. But overall, at Intolerant, everything we do is about making eating enjoyable again for people who otherwise struggle with food intolerances. And yeah, what I like about being a dietitian at Intolerant is that, often people come to us saying, oh, please help me because my diet is so restrictive and I just want to eat like a normal person again. And yeah, being able to say, yes, we can help with that is, incredibly rewarding. So yeah, when someone tells me, I wish I had found you earlier, or you guys are such lifesavers, that honestly makes my day. And what I also really enjoy is to support other dietitians, such as you, and others, to get to share knowledge and insights about enzyme therapy, so they can also feel confident using it with their own clients. Very glad to play a role in that too. So that's a bit of myself and a bit of Intolerant.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know you guys have a lot of great like resources on the website, and then you send out newsletter too with content from yourself and the other dietitians on the team, which
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah. All right, so let's dive in and really talk about the most common food intolerances in IBS. So just to set the stage, and I know you're the expert in this. So can you explain to our listeners really what food intolerances actually are?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let me explain what a food intolerance is. In simple terms, it happens when your body cannot properly digest a certain food component. So, yeah, normally when we eat, food passes through the stomach into the small intestine, and that's where most of the digestion happens. So, large food particles get broken down into smaller, absorbable molecules with the help of digestive enzymes. Those are the stars of the show here. And these enzymes are like tiny tools that split big molecules into smaller ones so they can be absorbed into the bloodstream like it's supposed to. But in case of a food intolerance, that process doesn't work the way it should. Often it's due to an enzyme deficiency. So either the body doesn't produce enough of the particular enzyme, or sometimes the enzyme is missing altogether. And as a result, that nutrient isn't absorbed into the small intestine and instead moves onto the large intestine. And once it gets there, the gut bacteria start to ferment it, and they do it quickly and often excessively. And that fermentation process produces symptoms like gas, bloating, stomach pain, diarrhea, or even constipation. So, to put simply, a food intolerance is when your body can't fully digest a nutrient, leading to the uncomfortable symptoms. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And I think it's important to distinguish the difference between a food intolerance and a food allergy. So an
Yeah.
intolerance is more of a like digestive malabsorption, like you said, due to a lack of an enzyme or not enough of an enzyme, such as lactose intolerance, versus a food allergy is like immune system, primarily immune system mediated. Like there can be sometimes component of immunity in food intolerances, which we might get into, but food allergy is like an IgE response to a certain protein or chemical in a food. Your immune system reacts to it, overreacts to it, and creates antibodies. And that can oftentimes create a more like immediate reaction with an allergy. So you may get like sometimes GI distress, but more so those sort of like inflammatory conditions like swelling or hives or itchiness. I want to put that out there because I think sometimes people say allergy and intolerance and get them confused,
Yeah,
but they are,
people are
yeah,
confused with it
they're
too.
different.
I always explain it like, yeah, the allergy is just your immune system overreacting, and an intolerance is just a breakdown problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that makes it really simple. But yeah, I understand that people are confused sometimes with it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that in mind, in terms of your experience with food intolerances, what would you say maybe contributes to them developing, or if we were to think about why they happen?
Yeah, based on what I know, is that you can divide food intolerance into two main groups, the primary and the secondary food intolerances, where a primary intolerance is like congenital, meaning that you're essentially born with it. So, yeah, you've had the bad luck to have inherited it from your parents, and in many cases, your symptoms start in early life. Sometimes people don't notice the symptoms right away and only develop them later, but usually it shows up quite young. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second group, which is the biggest group, is the secondary intolerances, which develop during your life. And these can be triggered by different factors like certain diseases, the use of antibiotics, surgery, or simply the natural aging process. Because, yeah, as we get older, the body often produces fewer and fewer digestive enzymes as you age. So, yeah, that can also lead to new intolerances developing over time. But in many cases, the exact cause isn't clear. I think there are a lot of studies looking out for more reasons, but yeah, a lot of it is just not clear. People might just start noticing symptoms out of the blue, and yeah, maybe mild at first and then gradually become more troublesome. So yeah, I think that those are the two main groups.
Yeah. And even in the case of IBS, like it doesn't happen in everyone with IBS, but there is that common occurrence of visceral hypersensitivity. So the nerves in the gut are just like overreact to sensations like stretching, which can occur from fermentation. So that's why like FODMAP intolerances, which are fermentable carbohydrates, are common in IBS. But in terms of like the cause of visceral hypersensitivity itself, like there can be many different ones. There can even be like due to dysbiosis in the microbiome, even like history of trauma, like different
Mhm.
psychological factors. So it's really quite complex, like
Yeah,
getting
so
to
it's
the root of it,
definitely.
right?
Yeah, people ask us, why does this happen to me? Why do I have this intolerance? And we always say, yeah, we don't know yet. Just bad luck, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And even by their nature, like I know the polyol groups, say for example, sorbitol, like they are technically malabsorbed in humans, like in
Hmm.
general. Like we don't have enough of the enzymes, but I think it's more pronounced even with people with visceral hypersensitivity. Like that malabsorption is just much more painful. Would you agree?
I agree with that. Yeah, like most people just don't get any symptoms from the fermentation of the polyols, which usually happens because there isn't an enzyme like responsible for it. But
Hmm.
yeah, particularly for people in IBS, yeah, they're sensitive already. So polyols, even
Hmm.
I
I
think
guess which
that's
we
what.
will get into the products of Intolerant, but
Yeah,
is that why it's been so difficult to find an enzyme
mm,
to, yeah, because there's
yeah,
no enzyme products, right?
that's why.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
is
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Versus lactose intolerance, which some people naturally still produce like the lactase enzyme. Some people don't,
Hmm.
but that's why it's much easier to have a like a
Yeah,
supplementation form of the enzyme, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome. And then in terms of like, we can go through the most common food intolerances in IBS. So we can chat about fructan and GOS, which are very, very common, lactose, and then get into fructose. So why don't you explain a bit more about fructan and GOS intolerance for our listeners?
Yeah. Yes, to show you the most common intolerances, I can show you our food wheel. And for those who listen, I will describe it very carefully. We have what we call at Intolerant our food wheel, which is sort of like a pie chart graph with the different food groups split up so that you can see what the possible intolerances are, the most common ones. I'll just start with the most common ones, which are, for example, lactose intolerance. I think everyone knows this intolerance, and it's actually 2/3 of the world has a lactose intolerance, which is like huge. I don't know the exact number in Canada, but here in Europe, it's like 25%.
Hmm.
And lactose intolerance, the lactase enzyme responsible for splitting up lactose into a glucose and galactose molecule is absent. Some people produce still a little bit, and some people don't produce any lactase enzyme at all, causing the main food intolerance like symptoms, which are actually the same for all of the food intolerance groups. So, like the diarrhea, constipation, gas, bloating, yeah, that's the symptoms. You can recognize it. But the main root cause of the symptoms with lactose intolerance is mainly in the dairy products containing lactose, so milk, yogurt, cheese, and all other like dairy like products. So I think this is pretty straightforward. And then the next one I'd like to discuss is fructose intolerance. And the official term is fructose malabsorption, because fructose intolerance is a very rare genetic disease where the liver doesn't produce enough enzymes. But we are talking about just a fructose malabsorption here. So fructose, for those who know, is already a monosaccharide. In a normal case, there isn't an enzyme responsible for breaking down this nutrient, but there is a specific transport protein necessary in order to absorb fructose into the small intestine to the blood. And in case of fructose malabsorption, this transport protein is defect. So fructose cannot be absorbed, but goes straight to the large intestine where it will be excessively fermented, causing like the same list of symptoms we know. And fructose we know as like the fruit sugar, so many types of fruits who contain fructose, but also in types of vegetables, sugar snaps, that sort of thing, and also honey. And of course, fructose is also in a lot of processed foods, like in fructose syrups are basically all cereals, sauces. I think we know where they are. So that's a little bit about the fructose malabsorption. And then I think the third biggest and most common intolerance is the intolerance for the oligosaccharides, which are actually divided into two separate groups. We have the fructo oligosaccharides, which we call the fructans, and we have the galacto oligosaccharides, which we call the galactans, or GAS for short. And they're both in separate food groups. The fructans we find in a lot of different vegetables, such as onions, garlic, leeks. I think a lot of people do recognize symptoms getting from garlic and onions, and also in some fruits, such as melon, banana, that sort of foods. And then we have the galactans, and we find them mostly in legumes and beans, lentils, some types of nuts. And the thing is with oligosaccharides is that we are normally fermenting them already in our large intestine. They contain like types of dietary fiber which are good, and we need to ferment them. But which is not that good is that some people ferment them too quickly and too excessively, and that's when we call it a fructan intolerance or galactan intolerance. So yeah, it's just an overreaction to the fermentation process, really, to explain it like in a simple way. So I think those are the three main ones that, yeah, a lot of people suffer from. But for those watching in the food wheel, we have some others like sucrose and starch. For those who have a sucrose isomaltase deficiency, you can react to both sucrose and starch. And the last one is histamine, which isn't a carbohydrate like the other ones, but a biogenic amine, which comes in a lot of fermented foods. And you can have an intolerance for histamine too. So I think those are the most common intolerances.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that wheel as a visual representation. I know you have it in a few places on your website, and you guys have a 2-minute food intolerance test, which I tried myself. I will say that it did give me like 6 different food groups that I'm intolerant to, but
Yeah.
I think this is kind of like a good overview of like even using the low FODMAP diet, which is essentially a process where you eliminate, reduce high FODMAP foods, and then go through the challenge phase to assess, which ones you're more or less tolerant to. Can you actually tolerate or absorb fructose better? Maybe it's the fructans that you have less tolerance for. So that's getting into more of the specifics. But
Yeah.
from like an enzyme approach, as you guys do at Intoleran, like sometimes using the enzyme products can be helpful as well if maybe low FODMAP is too restrictive for someone, or even just to support a bit of flexibility during travel or eating out. This
Mm-hmm.
definitely can be helpful from that perspective
Yeah.
too. Yeah. With that said, I know you guys have another really awesome. I love the branding on the website. I think the visuals are really great, like representations for visual learners. But I also saw like a pyramid where it's sort of like the foundations of food intolerance support. So sort of at the bottom was lifestyle support, and then in the middle was more specific like dietary to support your microbiome, and then at the top were enzymes or supplement support. Can you
Mm-hmm.
touch on maybe a little bit more from your knowledge in terms of how to manage or even like improve tolerance to different like FODMAP groups specifically?
Yeah. So I can, yeah, explain a little bit further about the like what we call the pyramid of gut support. I think we can link it down below to, yeah, for people to see.
For sure.
I can just share it here very quickly. So our pyramid of gut support is, yeah, based on 3 different layers. We think it's very important to start with the foundation, which includes healthy food, healthy diet, and lifestyle factors. Start with drinking enough fluids, at least 2 liters a day, eat enough vegetables in order to get your dietary fiber. Then the limitation of, yeah, excess sugar and fats, of course, because those can be triggering too for the gut. And then there are a lot of lifestyle factors such as stress, enough sleep, exercise, like in order to keep your tolerance levels a little bit higher and don't get your bucket overflowing way too quickly. I think you should have the foundation in a good order. So yeah, that's how we explain that you start with the foundation. But of course, for a lot of people, that isn't enough. So then you can go to the second layer, which is like the basic microbiome support. So because, yeah, your health also starts into your microbiome. We don't know half of it, how important it actually is, but yeah, it's very, very important. So it might be worth looking at probiotics to support your microbiome in order to get some extra, yeah, good bacteria in. Maybe looking at some prebiotic fiber supplements to get your bacteria to grow. And in this stage, you can also look at some like on-hand triggers already, such as caffeine or spicy foods or fizzy drinks, for example, to see, okay, maybe that's the root cause of my symptoms. But then, at the tippy top, we see the specific supports. And that's where like the FODMAP diet comes in, or other types of elimination diets. You can follow it with the help of a dietitian, of course, or do some testing if you like. But also the most important thing is the digestive enzymes, which can really help support you, and also to avoid a too restrictive diet. Like you said, with the FODMAP diet, sometimes it can be very tricky to keep following it while you travel or go out with friends, or in other like social situations. It can be really hard to keep following it. So that's where digestive enzymes come in, and also to be able to eat as normal as possible to avoid like any nutrient deficiencies or whatsoever. So that's the pyramid we also use as a guide for people, like the steps to take to get to a normal diet again. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that guide. It's a common discussion I have with a lot of clients, even doing like the low FODMAP first phase, like elimination phase, is they sometimes wonder, oh, I feel like I reacted more to this meal, even though it had the same foods, or, a similar FODMAP food. But I think I like to use like that idea of the bucket. So having sort of a bucket of tolerance, like with food intolerances, that your bucket may get smaller, you're able to tolerate less if there's other factors going on, even like stress, or you didn't sleep as much, maybe your gut's already irritated from other gut irritants. So various factors too that can affect your tolerance. And I think with food intolerances, it's good to remember that they exist on a spectrum, like it's not black or white. So there's are even other things like day to day that can affect that too. So within the context of gut health and IBS management, I think it's very much a holistic approach, and it's not just about one
I do
specific
agree.
food. Lots going on, right?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone explains it differently, but this is a tool we like to use, and other dietitians love it too, to just like the approach, so people know where to start. And the whole holistic approach is, I think, suits best.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did have did an earlier episode 21 with Day Wilson, who's co-founder of FODMAP Every Day. So they're a great resource, for low FODMAP diet. And she was even saying, just, based on the food supply, FODMAP levels, or, levels of fructose or fructans in different foods can change. Like even one garlic bulb from, let's say, Australia may be a little bit higher or lower in fructan than, say, something grown in the US. So even amongst foods, it can change too. So all that to say, it is complex, but based on, that chart in our discussion here, there's a lot that you can do to still manage it and still eat food with freedom, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Awesome. So why don't you share a little bit more about the enzyme products that are available at Intoleran, and really when these could be useful for someone?
Yeah, happy to. At Intoleran, we have a range of different digestive enzyme supplements. And there are a lot of different ones, so I'll explain each one. I'll walk you through them. And first, we have our lactase supplements, which support the breakdown of lactose from dairy products. And we offer them in different dosages, so people can choose depending on how much lactose they want to consume, or how strong their degree of intolerance is. There isn't a one size fits all. So we have some various dosages available. But we usually recommend to start with a higher dose to see what works best, and you can work your way down from there. And then next, there's Fructase, which is our supplement that contains the enzyme xylose isomerase, which is a very difficult name. But this enzyme helps convert fructose into glucose, So it can be absorbed into the small intestine, preventing fermentation and the uncomfortable symptoms that follow. So that's a good one. And then another specific supplement we have is our fibractase, which is our supplement designed for breaking down oligosaccharides such as fructans and galactans, or GAS. And this supplement contains the enzyme alpha-galactosidase, which is also a very known enzyme, I think. And yeah, it's an enzyme that's particularly helpful for people who struggle with foods like beans, lentils, wheat, onions, and garlic. And then to go straight on to the next one, yeah, there are a lot. Another product is our Starch Whey, which combines two enzymes for both sucrose and starch digestion. And this is especially useful for people with sucrose isomaltase deficiency, who often struggle with both at the same time. But for people with other multiple intolerances, or for those who follow the FODMAP diet, like we spoke about already, we offer two carefully designed enzyme blends with multiple enzymes into one capsule. So we have our Quatrace, which covers lactose, fructose, fructans, galactans, and sucrose, while our carbostarch enzyme blends covers lactose, fructans, GAS, sucrose, and starch. So both are high dose and provide support for those with like overlapping sensitivities or IBS. Because in IBS, people are often sensitive to a lot of different things at once. So that's why we have the enzyme mixes. And finally, we also have some products with the diamine oxidase enzyme, which is DAO of DAO for short, which is an enzyme that helps break down histamine in food, which can be really helpful for those with histamine intolerance. And just to tell you something about our products in general is what we think it's very important is to use the purest ingredients as possible. Our enzymes are completely vegan, gluten-free, and non-GMO, and we avoid unnecessary fillers or other artificial ingredients. So, for example, our fructase capsules contain just 3 components: the enzyme itself, the vegan capsule, and a little calcium as a filler, and that's it. Because the people who use our products are often already sensitive to a lot of things, so we don't want to give them the hassle of other unnecessary things. And secondly, we focus on proper dosage. Like, you can find many generic enzyme blends who are over the counter available, but we see that they are underdosed and too broad to be really effective for people with a real specific food intolerance. So we go the other way, using high doses of very specific enzymes that really target one intolerance at a time. And of course, for people with multiple triggers, our blends are still high dose, but carefully selected to cover like the right combinations. So in short, just all about purity and effectiveness, and giving the people with intolerance real tools to be able to enjoy food again.
Awesome.
I think it's a lot to remember, but happy to give advice on the supplements if people want to know more.
Even with the just thinking like the general digestive enzymes, I think here in North America, like Digest Gold is a common one. It basically just contains lipase, amylase, and protease enzymes, which break down your carbs, proteins, and fats. I believe that there's an enzyme for GOS, and then I think fructans as well. But from my knowledge, it doesn't cover the full spectrum of fructans because, as you said, it's like it is a group. It's not just one specific group. So in the Quatrace enzyme with Intoleran, which I believe is probably the one that covers kind of the different FODMAP groups, does the enzyme in that one like address the full spectrum of fructans, or are there any fructans that it's not able to break down?
No, the alpha-galactosidase enzyme is able to both digest the fructo oligosaccharides and the galacto oligosaccharides. So a lot of people are confused with this because the studies behind this enzyme are often based on only the galactans or just oligosaccharides in general, and don't cover or mention specifically the fructans. But we know from our own experience that it works really well for just all types of fructans in wheat products, onions, garlic. Like the product with alpha-galactosidase in it, I use it myself to be able to digest garlic. And when I cook a pasta for myself with a lot of garlic in it, I will take it to help me. And I can say from experience that it really works. Yeah.
Works well. Cool.
Yeah.
And with that in mind too, so another common enzyme product, which a lot of my listeners are familiar with, is FODMAPs. So they're based out of the US. Their enzyme blend for FODMAPs contains enzymes for fructans, GOS, and lactose. So it does lack the fructase enzyme, which, as you mentioned, Intolerances Quatrace does contain. I know I've had clients that have difficulty digesting fructose, and some with like much higher levels of fructose malabsorption. They're more sensitive. So they've been hesitant to take that product without getting too far into the science here, confusing people with all these like enzyme names and whatnot. The idea with the FODMAP is that when the fructan breaks down, it may break down into fructose, which for those who also have fructose malabsorption issues, that may cause symptoms. So yeah, can you maybe explain a bit about how the Quatrace product might be beneficial for people in those situations?
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of overlap between the FODMAP and our Quatrace because, FODMAP contains the enzymes for fructans, galactans, and lactose. And we have also the enzyme for fructose in it, and also the enzyme for sucrose, which is not a FODMAP but can act like it. And we know that a lot of people are sensitive to sucrose. But like you said, if a fructan is digested by the enzymes, they do release fructose because the molecule is like attached to it. So for someone who is not only sensitive to the fructans, but also has a fructose malabsorption, I think, the Quatrace would be a better fit because it addresses both sides of the issue. And I think one of the other key differences between FODMAP and Quatrace is the form of the intake. Because FODMAP comes as a powder that you sprinkle all over your food, whereas intolerant products come in capsules. Some people prefer the convenience of capsules because you can just take them with a sip of water and you're ready to go. But maybe others might like the powder format. But our capsules, you can open them up as well, so you can just sprinkle them over your food if you like that. It just comes down to your individual needs and preference. But I think fructose in malabsorption is more common than you think. So I think the full spectrum is
it could be helpful for sure.
Yeah, it could be helpful.
Especially if it's suspected. I know FODMAP does market like the product being in a powder form as like improved breakdown, because the idea of it is that you're meant to like sprinkle it on the food before you eat it, and then it starts breaking down the food, like the enzymes break down the components in the food before you even eat it. But based on like your knowledge of the science, is that any more effective than just taking it as a capsule, or you think it is the same?
Yeah, that's like a frequently asked question. Like the capsule we have is like a plant-based, like cellulose, so completely vegan. And when you swallow the capsule, like it will dissolve like immediately. So it's exactly the same as you would take the powder separately. It's just the convenience of like taking the capsule with water. That's why we have the capsule. But it doesn't matter if you take the capsule or just the powder.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the enzymes will survive your stomach acid and will do their work just in the intestines. The most important thing is that the enzymes can like blend well with your food, but it doesn't matter if you sprinkle over your food or just take the capsule like just before your meal, or with the first bite of the meal. I think it's just the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What we recommend is just not wait too long while you eat. So just with the first bite or just before, not after your meal, but because then the enzymes won't blend in with your food to
Okay.
be able to digest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. That makes sense.
Mhm.
And then I saw that the Quatrace enzyme you also recommend potentially for like endurance athletes. So maybe
Yeah.
before a race or a hard workout. I know with my clients, like I have many who are more active and will work on just GI friendly meals and sometimes like lower FODMAP too. But yeah, based on your knowledge, can you share a little bit about the studies to support the use of enzyme products like Quadrase
Yeah.
in endurance sports?
Of course. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know this, but yeah, the quatrace you can use with sports-related gut complaints, which are like surprisingly common, especially among endurance athletes like runners and cyclists. And yeah, one of the main culprits here are the FODMAPs, so the fermentable carbohydrates that are like often present in the carb-heavy meal that athletes rely on before training or before the competition. And yeah, during prolonged or intense exercise, the digestion slows down, and this means like the FODMAPs can move into the large intestine. Where they start to ferment, often leading to gas, bloating, and abdominal pain. And even a drop in performance for these athletes, which is not what you want. So yeah, that's where our supplement Cotrace can make a real difference. Right? Yeah, by taking one or more capsules just before a FODMAP-rich pre-race meal, the enzymes help break down these carbohydrates in the small intestine so they don't reach the large intestine. And this can help prevent discomfort and allow athletes to fully focus on their performance and nothing else. So, yeah, there is some research what supports this approach. I think we can link them. For example, a study from 2019 showed that a short-term low FODMAP diet significantly reduced the exercise-related gastrointestinal symptoms. And more recently, another study from 2021 highlighted how high FODMAP intake is common among endurance athletes and strongly linked to gut complaints. So together, these findings underline the importance of managing FODMAPs in sports nutrition. And like our Quatrace offers like a practical tool to help digest these before the exercise. And yeah, I'm an amateur runner myself, and I'm not running marathons or whatsoever. But even in my 5Ks and 10Ks, I do experience some discomfort from time to time, which makes me like run straight home to go to the toilet sometimes. So I do understand how hard it can be for long distance runners or cyclists who want to pursue their goal and are really doing everything to get there. So yeah, I think using this supplement to avoid like this discomfort could really help them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So based on the studies, it's more about like how a high FODMAP fuel may interfere with performance and cause GI
Mhm.
effects. So based on that, suggesting that potentially like a supplement or an enzyme could help with that
Yeah.
breakdown. Yeah, I think it just depends on the client. Like when I work with people, will sort of fine tune like some specific low FODMAP meals. I have had people who run marathons and they've had bad
Mhm.
GI disasters. So they come to work with me after and making those
Yeah.
things be helpful. But I could see how, like, I always take the food first approach. But if someone was maybe traveling and there wasn't always assurance that they're able to have like a lower
Mhm.
FODMAP meal, then, having the enzyme for backup too could be helpful or, just as
Yeah.
more convenience.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like a low FODMAP meal is like even better, I think. But yeah, it's not always possible. So
yeah,
then the enzymes can really give that extra support. Yeah,
yeah.
because like running a marathon is stressful enough. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things with running, even more so than cycling, just the pelvic jostling and
Mhm.
yeah, all the blood getting redirected from your gut to the rest of your body. So it's
Yeah.
It's common for sure, for sure. All right. Well, this has been a really awesome discussion. I think we've given listeners a lot to think about. Do you have anything else to share, just in terms of the realm of food intolerances? Anything we didn't touch on?
I think we've covered like a lot already. Yeah, maybe just a few final tips for anyone who's curious about trying enzyme supplements but are very new to it. Just to know that we offer test packs, which come with just a few capsules or tablets at like a much lower price than the full size products. And yeah, in this way you can try them out for yourself and see how they work for you. But because yeah, we can explain all of the science, but in the end, the best way to know is to experience it yourself. Yeah, we also offer like 100-day satisfaction guarantee. So yeah, there really is no risk to giving it a try. And yeah, another common question we get is whether these supplements can be used daily. So to answer that question, the answer is yes, because the enzymes in our supplements are almost identical to the ones your body naturally produces. So yeah, they're safe to use every day and even in the long term. So yeah, if you're unsure where to start, and I can imagine that because there are a lot of different ones, you're not alone. And it's good to know that at Intoleran, we have a team of digestive experts, including 5 dietitians who are always ready to like give personalized advice about which supplements might be the best fit for you. Because unfortunately, there isn't a one size fits all, but yeah, you can always reach out to us by phone, email, or even WhatsApp. Yeah, here to help. I think, yeah.
Awesome. Well, and then for those listening and interested, I will be hosting a live IBS masterclass on October 14th and 15th with different time options for different time zones. I do get people from Europe as well as US and Canada join. And we will have live giveaways on both days. And Intolerant has been generous enough to give us some of their amazing products. So we'll be giving away the Quatrace 10,000 36 capsule test pack, which works on, we said, the more broader spectrum of common FODMAPs, and then also test packs of the fructase and starch ways enzymes. So if you're keen to win one of those prizes, so you can try them for free, be sure to join in. So I will link the registration page below for anyone wanting to sign up for the masterclass. And with that said, I will link, I think you had a couple resources. We'll link the foundational chart and some of those studies below too, as well as the Intoleran website, so people can check out more, and also join your newsletter, because as I mentioned, you give away some
Yeah.
great blogs. And
Yeah, we share recipes, blog articles, yeah, fun stuff. So yeah, definitely.
awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Anouk. I really appreciate this conversation today. For anyone listening, if you do have any questions, you can comment down below or send us a message. And thank you so much.